Well, I had no gray hair when I went to Washington, D.C. I mean that seriously. I mean, it was that level of stress. I've had friends die. I've been to countless funerals and dealing with issues to the war that I can't even talk about with folks. I've seen more of the bad side of human nature in my 30-some years of service to this country, both in the military and as a private citizen and as a public servant now, than I care to talk about. But the values and the ideals of this nation are kept good as long as good people participate in the process. In February 2007, I was ready to walk out. I was already starting to search for a job, if you want to know the truth. Because I was just tired of the hypocrites that I was dealing with, who would tell me one thing and then do another and then this and that. And it's all the things that you deal with every day. Guess where we deal with them at the kitchen table, we can deal with them in church. Actually, the Congress gets a lot better than most churches I've been in. That's because we have to, or we get in big trouble. But the point though that I'm making in this process, as you walk through this fight, remember the ideas and the people who pay that price. I was feeling sorry for myself, and I've got a phone call. And some of you heard this story, but I'm going to tell it again. Two sergeants from the 101st Airborne Division had heard through the grapevine that the congressman from northern Kentucky was a friend of the Airborne, friend of the 101st. My roommate from West Point happened to be the chief of staff of the division at that time. Another one of my company mates commanded the aviation brigade. It's a very small mafia in our world of folks who knew each other. They were just told, if you got a problem, call Jeff. Well, they're getting out of Walter Reed because they were going to be medically discharged from the military, medically retired actually. They were combat engineers from the engineer battalion division. They've been catastrophically wounded while they were disarming improvised explosive device on their second tour in Iraq. They were inside Buffalo, a big armored vehicle. I think that saved the son of one family that's here tonight. When that went off, several men on board that vehicle were killed. These two guys were pretty seriously injured. They wanted to meet with me. We cleared the schedule, brought them in, and I'm going to tell you something. The thing I love about the American military is that our non-commissioned officers always tell you what's on their mind. And they do not care who they piss off, frankly. And they told me things I needed to hear. It was at once sober and encouraging and motivating and humbling to hear them out of these broken bodies talking with a pride in their service and a pride in their units, and most amazingly, an incredible pride in their country and love for the United States of America, because they were beginning to understand what it means. I tell young veterans that when you're 40, the flag begins to look different to you because you don't just see stars, you see faces. And the buzzers went off, and I had to go over to vote. And I said, guys, I'd love to take and show you something that really belongs to you, your house. And Dan Adelstein, my 25-year career Special Forces officer, who is our national security system, offered to drive, and they said, no, we're going to walk. And they hobbled across the street over to the Capitol. In fact, that was about as close as some of my colleagues ever got to knowing what a soldier really smells like. Got them into the house after I voted, got up there, they got to see the to and fro, back and forth on the floor of the people's business at this chaotic, frenetic pace. And I said, I want to take you to another place. I want to take you out to the Speaker's balcony. Have a view of Washington. So we hobbled on through the statuary hall and down through the Speaker's chambers, much against her will, but she couldn't say anything with these two guys. And went out on that balcony. They took in the pantheon of the monuments to service and sacrifice. They looked down the boulevard where every returning victorious army, except Korea and Vietnam, marched down that street. And it was like you could feel the ghost of the past. When you begin to think about the heritage that has taken place and is represented by the people that walked on that ground. And these guys were very moved by that. We came back in, and right outside the Vice President's office, there used to be, not after the last inauguration, the stand of colors of the four services. And for this old soldier and those two young soldiers, it was an especially poignant moment, because the first streamer hanging on the Army battle flag was Lexington and Concord in 1775, the first time that Americans took up arms against tyranny to defend their liberty. And we could not talk. We shuffled on out towards the rotunda. As we hit the rotunda, a young sergeant looked up at the painting of George Washington on the ceiling with tears streaming down his face. He sputtered out, "Now I know what I've been fighting to defend. This idea. This idea." Brothers and sisters, it's that idea why we're here tonight. And no matter how hard young men like that NCO or any of the generations represented here suffered for the the good that we have, that we often take for granted, or the price that's paid, all of that is for nothing if we don't go and do our constitutional duty. My charge to you is pick up the weapons that we have, the pen and the ballot box, and let's do our duty to carry this freedom into the next generation, roll back this tyranny, and make sure that our children and grandchildren at least inherit the America that we were given by those who went before us. God bless you.
Thank you so much for speaking to us tonight from your heart. I just cannot thank you enough, and I know I speak for everyone in this room. Thank you for what you mean to us in Washington, D.C. And I just want to ditto what Congressman Davis said about voting. When I checked the voting records in 2008 in Grant County, 35% of the Republicans voted in 2008. I was shocked and embarrassed. And I have told my Republicans in Grant County that that will not happen again. This year, we are going to make an effort to double the amount of Republicans and conservatives that get out and vote in our primary in May 18th and in November the 2nd of this year. Our county, our state, our nation depends on us. And I thank all of you for coming out tonight. There's some people I need to recognize. Everyone that's involved in the Tea Party movement. Would you please stand? Everyone here tonight that's involved in the Tea Party movement. Let's give them a hand. We have been to Washington, we have been to Frankfort, we have been to the courthouse steps of Grant County, and you all have been to Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky. We have put a lot of miles on our feet, and it's just begun, people. It has just begun. Come forward. I got my schedule program a little mixed up. You know, here in Grant County, we recognize somebody every year in our group that means so much to the Grant County Republicans. Last year, we had to recognize 2 people because we couldn't decide who deserved the award the most. It came down to 2 people, so I made the executive decision. We'll just give it to the 2 people that we want to have it. This year, we've got 2 people again. These 2 people, whenever I call one of them or the other, they do everything I ask them to do. And lots of times, they do it even before I ask. And when I call them, one of them will answer the phone and say, "We knew it was Pam." And tonight, I'm so proud to honor Bob Hollopeter and Betty Hollopeter. We got a cameraman somewhere. Come on up, Paul. We say, well, there's Penny over there.